All right, so in this video, we have this red pill guy who goes by Cooley, and he does like a fresh and fit knockoff podcast. But recently he got exposed for dating a single mom, and now his career is in shambles. And people exposed this after a clip of him went viral where he's on this podcast talking about how he fits in the category of a top tier man.
You believe you're a top tier man? By what standard?
I'm 6'4", only about what? 8% of the entire world is 6'4". I make well over 100K a year. And I'm black at that if you add that on. So just if we're speaking about those figures, the things that women are attracted to, no, I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but I'll let you do the math.
So people did the math, and it turns out he's dating a single mom, which in the red pill space is definitely not top tier man behavior. Like, they're all pretty much against it. Even Cooley himself. That's really the most embarrassing part here. There's so many clips from his podcast where he's just trashing single moms. So this guy has no self-awareness. It's wild. I mean, he basically is insulting his own girlfriend here because he says single moms have the worst character traits and are selfish and terrible moms, which is insane considering he's dating one and he's also having a kid with her. So I'd imagine he probably doesn't actually think this.
Well, for one, because I'm a very good mother. I'm not a perfect mom, but I'm a very good mom. So I think.
But what does that have to do with him?
Because I think that shows a lot about my character. And why do I think I deserve it? Because I believe that.
Well, wait, time out. You being a good mother, that doesn't show that you have good character, because single mothers normally don't have good character, generally speaking, because they chose the wrong man, meaning that they normally broke up the relationship. They initiated the breakup. So they show single moms show the worst characteristic traits, to be honest. I'll explain why. Because if they had good characteristic traits, they would be with the baby father. They would have chose a man that's worthy of them to have a good kid with, and they would stay with that man. So I just wanted to let you know that when we see a single mom, we don't see good character, even if she can claim that she's a good mom. We see terrible mom.
Oh, I can't wait to answer this.
Yeah, so this is what happens when you get carried away with the grift. Like, also these red pill guys, they always convince themselves that they're not hypocrites because they're the exception. You know, they're doing something different. Like, Cooley's main defense is his situation and girlfriend are exceptions to the rule, which his situation, it does make a little more sense for him because he was a single dad and he said he wanted somebody who had experience being a parent, which is understandable, but he's completely contradicting himself now because, like in that clip I just played, he said basically single moms are the worst parents. But obviously he doesn't think that if he wanted one to be the mother of his kid. I mean, he actually thinks the opposite. It sounds like he wanted someone with experience as a parent. But then on his podcast, he'll say there are no good qualities in them. So he just got way too carried away with the red pill shtick. I mean, some of the stuff he'd say on his podcast, his girlfriend has to be so embarrassed about. Like, he probably always has to constantly tell her, don't worry, I'm just playing a character. I don't actually mean any of that. Because it's insulting towards her. Like, imagine what his girlfriend must think about this.
Single moms, to answer your question directly, like I said,
I don't think it's a bad thing.
Recreational use only.
No.
Do you know? You guys know what that means?
Are you serious?
Recreational use only. Especially if you up in your ages in your 30s. Recreational use only.
Do you mean like hit it and quit it?
Recreational use.
Recreational use only, meaning you won't use any for sex. That's it.
Recreational.
Single mother.
Recreational use.
Even if
Can we go around? I'm waiting patiently.
We gotta get to y'all.
Yeah, so it's crazy for him to have the audacity to say stuff like this, considering his situation. But you could tell he's just trying to be like Myron from Fresh and Fit. You know, he's definitely influenced by him. I'm pretty sure that's who he got this recreational use line from.
She's got a couple kids, yeah.
Hell nah, bro.
Yeah,
that's a dub.
Single mothers are recreational use only. You don't marry those women. That's a bad move for you as a man.
Why? Because of the baggage? Because of the kids? Because of the just...
There's far too much risk. I mean, marrying a single mother, now you're bringing kids into the equation that you're going to have to provide and protect for that aren't your own seed. And if that woman breaks up with you, now you're going to get hit with a double whammy of you.
And another red pill guy who actually married a single mom is Walter, of course. And they asked him about it. He's like, yeah, it's cool, but I didn't realize I'd have to be taking care of a kid.
You did it. You married a single mom.
Yep.
How'd that work out?
Honestly speaking, like, it was a cool relationship with me and her. Just that the other element of the kid being there. One, I was young. I didn't understand what it really was. And two, they tell you up front, well, some women tell you, oh, you know what? Don't worry about the kid. I'm going to take care of him. It's not your responsibility. But over time, it's like, yo, you're going to have to, at some point, chip in or be a part of it. So it's like, as a young guy coming up, if you're single with no kids, honestly speaking, your best strategy is to have a woman that has no kids as well, because that burden, that's not your burden.
Yeah, so these red pill guys talk a lot of shit about single moms, but they seem to end up in relationships with them. Like also Wes Watson as well. He's been married twice to single moms, but he's at least open about it. You know, he doesn't seem to be embarrassed at all, unlike Cooley, who's too ashamed to admit it on his podcast because he probably knows how hypocritical it sounds.
When I see a single mom, right, I see a woman that made all the wrong choices and only prioritized how she feels. She's selfish.
Will you ever date a single mom?
I mean, single moms need love too. They can get a little recreational use only sometimes.
Wow. You believe that single moms are damaged? Are damaged goods?
Well, damaged goods. I believe that. I mean, she just said it right there. What'd she say?
Yeah, so it sounds like he's ashamed of it, but of course in his response video, he acts like, I was never trying to hide anything, you know, I was upfront about it all, but clearly right there he wasn't. And almost every comment on his response video is calling him out and making fun of him, so I'm sure most of his fans probably didn't know about his relationship and are really surprised by it considering how much he talks negatively about single moms. You know, you wouldn't expect him to be dating one. But of course, instead of him taking some accountability and admitting he got caught up in the red pill grift and might have misled people, he doubles down and said he stands by everything he's previously said, but his girlfriend is just an exception to the rule, and he's looking for somebody who understands what it's like to have kids because he wanted a good mother for his daughter, which makes sense, but again, contradicts what he said earlier about how single moms are terrible moms. And it's funny because when he's talking about this, he kind of makes it sound like he had to settle for his girlfriend because he had a kid. Like if he were just single without a kid, he would have done better.
I had a daughter that I can't be selfish. So I can't be like, man, let me get, the chick with 000 baggage. I'm just looking at those things and all of this, but I'm not really worried about the values and all of that. But when you are a father, you got to be selfless. You got to think about, well, I got to find a woman that embodies some good moral characteristic traits like I do. I got to find a woman that comes from a 2-parent household. I got to find a woman that's like the exception to the rule. Because I'll tell you, when you're a single father, women that don't have kids don't necessarily understand the obligations that come with having kids. You get it? They don't understand the obligations that comes with having kids. So for my situation and for a lot of guys, I mean, if you can get a woman that is the exception to the rule where she's not a single mom because she got knocked up or she had some one-night stands or she has a whole lot of tattoos, like she has all of these other red flags and she's a single mom, is like, God dang, what's going on? Because we know the stigma around single moms. So if you're going to date a single mom, you got to date one that isn't a stigma. But guess what? Stay away from the single moms. I still tell you guys now, because generally speaking, the majority, they have all of that baggage. I just so happen to be the exception to the rule, and so is my chick.
So this did not go well, and pretty much all the comments are talking about how ridiculous he sounds. This person said he literally just took his relationship and made it the exception, and people are like, dude, just take the L and move on. Take some accountability here. Like, you always talk about how women need to more, but you can't even take accountability for being with a single mom. Instead he comes up with all these excuses and really tries to act like he's always been consistent with what he believes and what he's telling people.
So a hypocrite is someone that tells someone, yeah, I don't do this. That ain't me. I don't stand for this. But then they go ahead out and do it. So all of these podcasts that's making reactions to me, they saying that I'm hypocritical because they think that, oh, here's another red pill guy making talking points like all of these other podcasts. So he must view himself as like a bachelor and this high value guy, where if you watch No Fugazi, I'm not a bachelor. I have a family. I'm a family guy. I'm a father. So my values and everything that I embody is much different from these other type of red pill podcasts that y'all watch.
And that's only part of the reason why people are calling him a hypocrite. Like, also, he clearly just isn't consistent with what he thinks of single moms, because he said he looks at them as terrible moms, but also he wanted to be with his girlfriend because she's a mom.
And I have a little girl. So at that time, it was like, you know, it'll be good to have a mother figure around and someone that understands motherhood and things like that. So, which usually single girls, they don't really understand the obligations. Single moms show the worst characteristic traits, to be honest. When we see a single mom, we don't see good character, even if she can claim that she's a good mom. We see terrible mom.
But of course, his girlfriend is the exception to the rule. You know, she's one of the only respectable ones, apparently. The rest are for recreational use only. He's still going on about that.
If you don't have any kids, recreational use only. 100% recreational use only. If you don't have full custody of your kid, 100% recreational use only. If you do have full custody of your kid, meaning that your kid is with you 24/7, maybe not, man, because it's a much different experience. A lot of you people in here don't have any kids, so you can't even fathom living a life as a man being selfless when you're not, you know, always, you're not just worried about yourself. You have this kid, this copy of yourself that you created. They come first, so you want to put your kid in the best situation possible.
And I think it'd be better for him if he just accepted responsibility and admitted maybe he's trying to be somebody he's really not and got carried away with it. Because if people are this surprised and disappointed in him being with a single mom, then he's probably misleading people a little bit and was saying stuff on the podcast that he really doesn't agree with. But he just doesn't want to admit it, and he's continuing to double down, which I'm sure will just keep making things worse. But let me know what you guys think. And if you want to hear more about these failed alpha male red pill guys like Wes Watson and Fresh and Fit, make sure you check out my Patreon account. I cover them a lot over there. And it's hilarious. Like recently, Wes Watson got gadooshed by one of his haters and pretty much just lost his mind. And his escort girlfriend recently broke up with him too. That's pretty sad. And Fresh and Fit, they're just continuing to implode. And I cover a ton of other stuff on there, over 100 exclusive videos. And I post every week. There's about to be a new video on there. So make sure you check it out. There'll be a link in the description.